Yassos, friends and savvy travellers. This is Travel in the Know, the show that tries to give you food for thought and improve everybody's holiday plans wherever you might be travelling. So today we're in Athens, but more specifically we're in Piraeus, which is Athens' gateway to the world, its biggest port, and also where a lot of journeys start to Greek holiday islands. Despite the absolutely glorious weather, it is the middle of February, so I doubt there are going to be that many boat services. And I'm not going somewhere as far as Santorini, particularly not with all of the earthquakes that have been going on there, or Mykonos. But I am going to find out how far I can get and whether I can get back in one day as well. This is something I've done without planning, which is not actually often the case, but deliberately just to try and see how far I can get simply by turning up at Piraeus. And it's also around about 11 o'clock, so I'm not here early in the morning. But let's see what we can do. First thing I think that we need to seek out is actually a ticket booth. So that's what I'm going to go and look for now. And also going to be very careful wandering around here because I thought it was a public pathway. But during my first take, I nearly got run over, which is why you will never see it. Right, let's go. No, it's closed. Nothing going here. Oh well, let's keep on trying. And another ticket booth closed. I really hope this isn't going to turn into a seafaring nightmare. I'm certainly nowhere near giving up yet, I can tell you that. Oops, I've strayed onto the live road again. But it's not so obvious. No cars, and then suddenly they arrive at a fair old pace. So I better get back on the public path. My Greek alphabet's good enough to know that says Exodus, the exit, but nobody coming or going at the moment. This ship is leaving at 9 o'clock this evening and it's on its way, or it will be on its way to Hania, which is one of the most important cities on the island of Crete. This really isn't a positive sign. Should I just give up? Not a chance. Thank goodness I love getting my daily steps in. We're going to keep looking and we will find something. I'm absolutely sure of it. Providence has spoken. Okay, this looks a little bit livelier. It's the actual passenger terminal. Let's see if there's anything in here. Or if it's just for the big ships. Hopefully not. Hello everyone at home. Let's say Yassos, is that right?
Yassos or Kalimera,
Kalimera,
which is good morning.
Yeah, fantastic.
Whatever it suits to you.
So I have no idea what I'm doing. I'd just like to take a day trip in the middle of February to a Greek island. Is that possible?
Everything is possible. There are plenty of ships and destinations in here. But the best I would like, in order not to have a long day, which is going to be tiring to you, a very short, close island, which is recommend Aegina. There are things to be seen. All the islands, they have their own character and history and things that can be found. So Aegina is one of them, which is close to the bay. We are right now based and located in E3, but unfortunately all the ships that they are in the they have in destination the islands which is close to Piraeus. You have to make the hemicycle and go to E8 gate.
Keep me fit.
Right now to E3.
Yeah.
And over there are kiosks also for the tickets.
Fantastic. And there are lots of boats during the day.
Yes.
So how do we say in Greek, let the adventure begin?
Ας ξεκινήσει η περιπέτεια.
Fantastic. Ευχαριστώ.
Παρακαλώ.
Thank you. Truly, I'm quite amazed how close you can get up to these ships without a ticket or any kind of security control. I could literally walk onto the ship to Heraklion right now if I wanted to, but I'm not a stowaway, I'm an honest type. You see what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that I'm not breaking any rules, to be honest. I've actually stepped onto the ship, but I won't go any further. I'm a man of my word. Time is ticking by, it's already 11:27, so I think I'm going to need to undertake this walk to the other side of the port pretty quickly if I'm going to get anywhere today. So off we go. I'd like, if possible, to have a day trip to Aegina. Is it possible?
Yes, of course.
Is there a fast ferry?
This is a fast ferry. Takes 40 minutes to go to Aegina.
40 minutes. And it leaves at what time?
12:30.
12:30. Okay, very good. The ticket cost €34 return, but it is for the fast ferry. So that's great. And now Margarita is very kindly giving me my tickets. Evharisto Margarita. You need to bring a piece of ID to go on the boat. Now, fortunately, I have my Cyprus ID, but being British, we never carry our passports around anywhere. So remember, if you want to go for a day trip to the islands, you better bring your passport. Otherwise, it will be a day investigating Piraeus. Not a bad option, but not what you intended. Hellenic Seaways, best foot forward now. Only got a few minutes to get there, as you're actually supposed to check in 20 minutes before departure. But I think everything's going to go according to plan, except there was no plan, so I'm absolutely thrilled that this has worked out. And here she is, the Aero 2 arriving. So here we are, ready to board, bang on time. Doesn't look like the ship is too full. And it's an easy process of just presenting the tickets and getting on board. So it's all indoors. Rather more like an airplane than a conventional boat. Looks a bit like if you're on a hovercraft, but it is the fast catamaran service, so I suppose it's not surprising. Try and get a window seat if we can. I'm flying to Larnaca tonight, so I had to make this quite a short trip, which is one of the reasons why I took the express catamaran. So this leaves at 12:30 actually, and I think it should arrive about 1:10 That gives me just over 2 hours on the island. 2 hours 20 minutes I would expect, so I hope to see something and bring you something of that. I could have risked the later trip, but then I'm also putting my flight at risk, and I do need to get back to Larnaca tonight. Now the price is €34 return. There is a slower ferry which I think takes quite a lot longer, I think over an hour and a half compared to this 40 minutes. And that was also available, and the return price of that, if you want the cheaper, slower option, is €24. Either way, pretty good value for a day trip.
Smoking is not allowed in any place of port. We kindly ask you to watch the video with useful instruction information about the vessel safety equipment, which we do not hesitate to ask any help from the crew for anything you may require. Thank you for choosing Hellenic Seaways, and we wish you a pleasant trip.
So that journey took 40 minutes as promised. It's wonderful. We've now arrived in the island of Aegina. A rather silly rule on board the catamaran, I suppose you call it. Not allowed to take any video. I really cannot see the point of that, except as really reducing our right to free expression. What harm is there of taking some videos through the windows of the ships going by? Well, perhaps it's just that they don't like the world to see how dirty the windows are. Apart from that, nothing to complain about. Everyone was nice and friendly, but that really is a stupid rule. And there she goes on her journey. A lovely little Greek chapel at the end of the pier to welcome us to the island. What a very picturesque little port. It's lovely. Totally different feel to the hustle and bustle of Piraeus, of course. Rather surprisingly, the first thing to greet you once you get off the boat at the end of the jetty is the Aegina Pistachio Growers Cooperative. So that must be big business here, one imagines.
Traditional product of Aegina.
Is it?
Of course.
So how many pistachios do you produce every year? A lot.
You ask me about the trees or about the trees? Okay, I don't know exactly, but it's about 500,000 trees.
Wow. On this
About.
small island, 500,000.
Of course, it's 87 cube kilometers.
It's half the population of Thessaloniki.
Of course.
That's great. That's brilliant. Of course, on arrival, I reconsidered my idea about how long to spend on the island, but fortunately I went to the ticket office first to ask whether it's possible to change your ticket free of charge, and I was told no, not at all. Basically, if you miss the ferry, then you have to buy a completely new ticket. So a couple of hours to have a little wander around the town and also perhaps have a cup of coffee. It's certainly got a nice feel about it, and being out of season, there's literally nobody around. There's a few taxi drivers, I think, waiting rather forlornly for lifts, but it is very, very pleasant just to wander around a little island and be more or less on your own. Take a look at this lovely little cove, less than a 5-minute walk away from the ferry. All the museums are closed. They're shut on Tuesdays, which is a shame. This is as close as I can get to the Temple of Apollo. Despite the museum being closed, we can get a fairly decent view of the ruins and indeed of the only remaining pillar, the Temple of Apollo here in Aegina. This is literally a 7-minute walk from the port, so you can do this in 2 hours quite happily. I just love this little market stall. You've got kind of all sorts of shells from the sea, pots from Greek antiquity, but also everyday practicalities like lemons, onions, tomatoes, and of course pistachios that you find everywhere here on the island.
Hello, my friend.
I love your store.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Tell me about it.
My father to have the boat and to go another islands, buy food to sell here for many years.
How much do these shells cost? I mean, these shells are amazing. How much do they cost?
This is 4 the small and 7 the big.
7 the big?
7 the
Sorry,
big
7 the big?
and 4 the small.
4 for the smaller. This little port just has so much character. I could spend days here. Why have I only bought a ticket for 2.5 hours? So silly, Philip. Unfortunately, there are some monuments on Aegina that don't need a ticket on Tuesdays and are of real historical significance, and here is one, the Tower of Markelos. And this dates back to the 17th century. It was built during a period of Venetian rule. We often forget just how much influence the Venetians had around here over the centuries, but then when we read Shakespeare's Othello, we're reminded, because that, for example, is set in Cyprus under Venetian rule. Anyhow, back to the history of this tower. It was built to guard over the Venetian possession of Aegina in the 17th century, as I mentioned, but its real claim to historical significance came later. The building is clearly named after a Greek, and in fact that is, to get this right, Spiridon Markelos. And Markelos actually was a distinguished fighter during the Greek War of Independence. The building's major significance lies in its leading role in the political developments before and after the Greek Revolution of 1821. During the war, the tower was used to host many important figures, including fighters and politicians, Greek and foreign alike. And once Greece finally became a free state, Aegina was actually declared the newly founded country's capital, and the Tower of Markelos was turned into the residence of Governor Ioannis Kapodistrias, I'm sure I pronounced that badly, from 1828 to 1829. Nowadays, of course, the tower is simply part of beautiful, sleepy Aegina. No aspirations to be capital city, but really proud of its history and significance to the people of Greece. Just found a nice little roadside cafe right by the harbour. It's only got a Greek name, not quite sure what it is in English, but clearly very popular with the locals. Just checking the time, it's 3:01. The boat leaves at 3:30, so I can't hang around too long, although it's only literally a 5-minute walk to the harbour. But they did say you should check in advance, and I certainly don't want them leaving without me, but it gives me just enough time to have a quick cappuccino, some sparkling water, and also this very welcome little plate of mezze. Kind of got some sausage and cheese dip and bits of cheese and olive. Looks very nice. And a cappuccino and also a small water. All of that's come to €10.50, which I think is fair on a holiday island just a little bit out of season. So I'm going to enjoy all of this calmly and quietly before heading back to the harbour. See you there. Back to the Catamaran now. A truly enjoyable day trip to a Greek island, and I hope that you've had as much fun as I have. Seems an appropriate place to finish here by this small little chapel, a chapel to seafarers around Greece. It's actually on the next jetty to my boat, so I'm going to have to hurry over because it's just arriving and can't afford to miss it. As they won't allow any photography, I'm going to say goodbye here. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Goodbye. If you have, up here there's a video about my trip from Estonia to Finland in the winter, and over here there's a playlist of all of my food vlogs. See you all very soon, and look, here's my boat, so I better start moving to the correct jetty. See you, bye bye. Come on Philip, let's run. Goodness me, we haven't got very long.